Hello and welcome to the common cottage, which was half built by my great grandfather and later on was added to by my grandfather. And my grandmother's brother is our neighbor. Here is the tent that I slept in with my partner when me and my friends were staying here in Lapland for a few days in the summertime. This little hut is the helpware as titled by my grandfather. Our cottage doesn't have any running water or electricity, so the toilet is best situated outside, and the running water is replaced by these tanks of clean water from the well that we can wash our hands with. I will show you my favorite run down the hill, which leads you to the outside sauna building in which the so-called shower is also located in. It's one of my favorite huts on this whole planet. Everywhere we are surrounded by forest, and the leaves make the most wonderful sound when they hum in the wind. Sometimes we have some sticks from the birch tree that we gather together and kind of slap against our backs when we're in the sauna to kind of create a deeply cleansing feeling. And this is what it looks like. There's a secret little, or not so secret, window where you can breathe in some cold air from outside if the air inside of the sauna gets too hot. And the view is also really beautiful and is of the lake that our cottage is situated by. And I just feel a sense of calm rushing through my body when I see this view. And I look up at the old tree that has been there even longer than I've been alive and beyond. The glass is old and makes a little ripple as you look through it, and these are the stones that keep us warm in the sauna, although they will just make a silly splash now that they haven't been heated up with fire underneath for a few hours, but you can imagine the steam. This is where we heat the water and we combine the boiling water from the lake with the cold lake water to wash ourselves. You must always remember to close the door to the sauna so that you don't let any of the heat out. Look at those shadows. And let's say that you were having a sauna and you wanted to cool down. You can just walk down these planks to the deck and take a swim in the lake, my favorite lake in the entire world. Thank you to my friends Eva and Georgie for sending me these clips of our time together at the cottage, where we were initially with just me, my two sisters out of four, and my parents, and later joined by my partner as well as my friends. It was just a beautiful time together, and these clips warm my heart. And I just wanted to show you how peaceful looking into the water is, especially when it's sunny and you can watch these little water bugs have some fun on the surface of the water, and their shadows are even more entertaining as you can see them passing on top of the rocks in the shallow water. I was taught how to fish by my late grandfather, the one that built the other half to the cottage, and watching these little fish in the water is a joy. My mother loves to kayak on the water, and it is a joy for all of us to get to use it by taking turns and get into the heart of the lake and look back at the cottage where we spend our calmed days in. Now I'm running to show you the spot where we love to make these Finnish crepes that we often eat with sugar, whipped cream and fresh strawberries, and the view is beautiful when you're making these crepes. The next building you can see here is called Aitta, and it's where I used to sleep as a kid and where we now threw some darts. I'll take you up the hill and go beyond the cottage to the well, which you can see right there, and then my grandfather's woodworking shop is in the view at the moment. Since his passing over 15 years ago, or just about 15 years ago, we've kept it as is. This is the road away from the cottage, and you can go away from the road onto this path that leads you to the forest and then also to a little bog where you can also find some cloudberries, which are only, I think, regional to Lapland. And some of the blueberries, the wild forest blueberries, were already ripe, and I'm doing my best to find some to show you. They're my favorite snack when I go having a walk in the forest. And the little ants, many of them, they keep me company and sometimes want to join me on my walks, and I have to kindly shoo them off. I now have found some blueberries, and they are the kind of late summer blueberries where they where they're not as ripe as they will be in a few weeks, but still very delicious. I love the moss that has also been on these rocks since I was little, and the little forests of ferns, which I actually wanted to collect a few of to dry up, put in between my journal pages, as well as send to some pen pals so that they can also get a little piece of Lapland. There was an evening that we took to go to the bog area through this dense forest, and the midnight sun was keeping us good company. But I believe to go to a bog, it's better that it's a little bit more cloudy. But I still really enjoyed it. Here I had to shoo off some of those ants because they like to first bite you and then pee into the wound so that it stings really badly. And back to the cottage, I think everyone else was still sleeping, someone in the tent and a few of us inside of the cottage, so I had to be really quiet. But I was really excited to have found these ferns so that I can dry them in my journal pages, like I said earlier. We have this little middle section to keep the mosquitoes out of the main bit of the cottage, and of course we can store some food in that middle section during winter time because it will be about minus 20 degrees Celsius. And of course there's no electricity, so we don't really have a traditional fridge. So we store food underground and in the winter time in that between section. Sorry for the brightness here. I wanted to say that I wanted to write some letters, which I will do now with my coffee. And I was excited to put some of those findings from the forest into my letters as well. Here's the traditional method of making coffee in Finland, which is always pour over. And I often like to sit on this table here looking at the lake as I wake up. But I just really love the light coming in from the windows and kind of rippling through to the ground of the cottage. And we love to sit here by the window with my little sister and journal our hearts away. There's no distinct rooms in our cottage, but there's these kind of balcony like places where you can go and sleep. And the cottage can fit up to 12 people. There's also some places a few kilometers away where you can go and have some fun and, of course, see some reindeers as we are in Lapland after all. And that was my family's mökki, meaning cottage in Finnish, where I spent a week or two in July 2025.